It was a typical Saturday afternoon, and I was in the middle of doing something that every parent can relate to, you know the drill, folding laundry. It wasn't glamorous, but it had to be done. The soft hum of the washing machine in the background, the clothes piled high on the bed, the faint smell of detergent in the air, and the rhythmic motion of folding towels. It was peaceful, quiet, almost soothing. But, little did I know, this was going to turn into a moment I would never forget. My son, who had been playing quietly in his room, suddenly appeared at the door, his face lit up with excitement, his eyes shining with a sense of mischief. It wasn't like him to interrupt me when I was in the middle of chores, so I was immediately curious. "Hey, buddy, what's up?" I asked, folding a shirt in my hands. He just stood there for a moment, biting his lip, clearly holding something back then, with a grin that stretched across his face. He took a deep breath and blurted out, "I've got a surprise for you, Mom." Now, by this point, I was intrigued. You never know what a kid might consider a surprise, right? Could it be a drawing? Maybe a little project he'd been working on? Or was it something entirely unexpected? I folded another towel, trying to remain casual, not wanting to let my curiosity show too much. But deep down, I was already picturing what this surprise might be without saying another word. He walked over to the corner of the room where I had left a pile of laundry to fold, and to my utter shock, he grabbed a handful of shirts and began folding them. Now, if you're a parent, you know that the idea of your child folding laundry is something you dream of but never truly expect. He was so focused, so serious about it, that I couldn't help but watch him in awe. The way he tried to make the edges even, the way he placed each piece neatly on top of the other, it was as if he was trying to prove something. I couldn't help but chuckle, feeling a sense of pride building up in my chest. This wasn't just any surprise. This was a glimpse into the person he was becoming. He wasn't just doing a chore for the sake of it. He was taking ownership, showing responsibility, and, most importantly, he was showing me that he cared. "You're folding laundry?" I asked, my voice full of disbelief. He nodded enthusiastically, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I wanted to help you, Mom," he said simply, his eyes never leaving the pile of clothes in front of him. I couldn't believe it. This was the same child who just a few weeks ago had grumbled about putting his dirty dishes away. And here he was, diligently folding shirts like it was his job. But there was something about it, something about his willingness to pitch in without being asked that made the whole moment feel so special. I couldn't just let him fold laundry without acknowledging it. "You know, you're really doing a great job," I told him, feeling genuinely proud. He beamed up at me, and for a moment, I saw the joy in his face, the joy of doing something good. "Something right, thanks, Mom. I want to help more," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. At that moment, my mind raced. This was more than just a child helping out with a chore. This was a reminder of how quickly they grow, how they move from being toddlers to little people with their own sense of responsibility and kindness. It was a reminder that, even in the most mundane moments, life could surprise you. As I watched him continue folding, I realized that this moment, this small but meaningful gesture, would stay with me. The laundry would get folded eventually, but the memory of him surprising me in such a sweet, unexpected way was one I would carry forever. It wasn't about the laundry at all. It was about the love and the connection we shared. It was about the little moments that remind you that the bond between a parent and child goes deeper than just the big milestones. He didn't know it, but by folding laundry with me, by showing that he cared enough to help, he had given me a gift far greater than anything I could have imagined. As we finished folding the last shirt together, he looked up at me and said, "I think we make a good team, don't we, Mom?" And in that moment, I realized that, yes, we absolutely did. So here I was, standing in my bedroom surrounded by freshly folded clothes, my son by my side, and a heart full of gratitude. It wasn't just another day of chores. It was a day that reminded me of how incredible it is to be a parent, to watch your child grow, and to witness the unexpected surprises that life has to offer sometimes. It's the simplest moments, folding laundry, sharing a quiet afternoon together, that hold the most meaning. As we folded the last of the clothes, I noticed something in my son's eyes. It wasn't just the excitement of completing a task. It was more. It was the look of accomplishment, of knowing he had done something meaningful. And in that small, unspoken moment, he had taught me a lesson too. It wasn't always about grand gestures or big acts of kindness. Sometimes, the smallest actions, like folding a pile of laundry, can mean the most. They can show love, care, and a willingness to be there for the people you care about. And that was exactly what he had done for me. I looked at him, still standing there, his hands a little clumsy but proud, holding up a perfectly folded shirt. "I'm really proud of you," I said, my voice softer now, filled with genuine emotion. "You did such a good job today. You're growing up so fast," he smiled at me, his eyes shining with pride. "Thanks, Mom. I guess I'm learning from the best," he said with a wink, making me laugh as I gathered the folded clothes and placed them in their respective drawers. My mind wandered back to the days when he was just a little toddler, running around the house, constantly underfoot. It seemed like just yesterday he was crawling across the floor, tugging at my pant legs, trying to get my attention, and now, here he was, folding laundry. Surprising me with his maturity, it was one of those moments that made me realize how much he had changed. How much he had grown. I couldn't help but think about the many times I'd wished for a little more help around the house. How many times I had hoped he'd pitch in more, but I never imagined that it would come in the form of a simple, heartfelt gesture like this. It was one of those moments when you realize that the things you've been waiting for often come when you least expect them, in ways that surprise and delight you. We continued to finish up, and just before I was about to leave the room, he said something that caught me off guard. "Mom, I think I want to learn how to cook next," he said, his voice serious, but there was a hint of curiosity in his tone. He paused, turning to look at him, a little taken aback by the sudden shift in conversation. "You want to learn how to cook? Yeah," he replied, nodding. "I want to make dinner one night. Maybe for you, just to surprise you." Like today's B was speechless for a moment. This wasn't just about folding laundry anymore. It was about him growing up, taking on new responsibilities, and wanting to make me feel special in ways I hadn't expected. It was a humbling reminder of how much our children want to contribute, to show us that they are capable of more than we often realize. "That sounds amazing," I finally said, my voice thick with emotion. "I would love that, and I'm sure you'll be great at EBB," smiled again, this time with a sense of determination. "I'll start practicing." I want it to be perfect. I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for this moment. For the little surprises that life throws at us when we least expect them. I realized that sometimes, as parents, we're so focused on the big milestones, the graduations, the achievements, that we forget to appreciate the small, tender moments. But it's in those moments, like folding laundry with your child, that you find the true depth of connection, the real beauty of family. As I left the room, with my heart full and a smile on my face, I knew that this simple, quiet moment of folding laundry had turned into something unforgettable. It had reminded me that the surprises in life don't always come wrapped in a bow or with fanfare. Sometimes, they come in the form of a child's willingness to help, to surprise you, to show you just how much they care, and in the end, it was a reminder that the little things, the unexpected moments, are often the ones that stay with you the longest. I couldn't wait to see what other surprises my son had in store for me, but for now, I was content knowing that he had already given me the best surprise of all.